Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we have the news that we've kind of been waiting to hear. Unfortunately, but the NHL season is on hold, and we'll be going over the latest, all the details from the NHL, as well as my thoughts on this. We'll be going over all of that in today's video. So, let's start off with the statement from the NHL. We're also going to hear about Gary Bettman's thoughts after, but I'll let you know when we get there. So the NHL announces that there will not be an Olympic break, and NHL players will not be able to participate in the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. And this is the statement from the NHL. With the National Hockey League's regular season schedule having been materially disrupted as a result of increasing COVID cases and a rising number of postponed games, the NHL announced today that NHL players will not participate in the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. And this is in quote, "The National Hockey League represents and admires the desire of NHL players to represent their countries and participate in a best-on-best tournament. Accordingly, we have waited as long as possible to make this decision while exploring every available option to enable our players to participate in those Winter Olympic Games." NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman said, in quote, "Unfortunately, given the profound disruption to the NHL's regular season schedule caused by recent COVID-related events, 50 games already have been postponed through December 23rd. That number has already gotten to over 130 NHL games postponed. Unfortunately, given the profound disruption to the NHL's regular season schedule caused by recent COVID-related events, 50 games already have been postponed. We certainly acknowledge and appreciate the efforts made by the Beijing Winter Olympics Committee to host NHL players, but current circumstances have made it impossible for us to proceed despite everyone's best efforts. We look forward to Olympic participation in 2026. Okay, whatever. Our focus and goal have been and must remain to responsibly and safely complete the entirety of the NHL regular season and Stanley Cup playoffs in a timely manner. Therefore, with stringent health protocols once again in place, we will begin utilizing available dates during the February 6th to February 22nd window, which was originally contemplated to accommodate the Olympic participation, in order to reschedule games that have been or may yet to be postponed." So, with that said, the NHL is not going to the Olympics, and we also have the pause. So, things have changed even since I posted that video for you guys yesterday. The NHL is just all over the place. The NHL is the first North American league, professional league to shut down. The NFL still running their games, the NBA still running their games, and college football. Now we're starting to see bowl games starting to get canceled and stuff like that, but there's only one to the point of this video. So, the problem is, and this isn't anything against the other leagues, because I absolutely get where they're coming from. We always talk about football being the big day for Thanksgiving, right? Thanksgiving, you eat the turkey, and you watch football. On Christmas Day, NBA is the big thing. The NBA, watching basketball, they have those special jerseys that they wear every year. That is their marquee day. And obviously New Year's Day is another big day for the NBA. Same thing for football. We're seeing a lot of football. The NFL had games scheduled this weekend, which have been getting postponed. But the bigger issue with the NFL-wise, and maybe the NBA has a little bit more leeway, we're going to start talking about the football playoffs for the Vince Lombardi Trophy for the Super Bowl at the end of February. The NFL has that schedule already laid out. There's not much leeway. Now, usually they do have a week between the last, the semis and the Super Bowl. There's a 2-week gap there. There's one Sunday off between then. But other than that, I don't really know how much more gap there is beyond that. So with that said, the NFL doesn't have the leeway to to postpone their season. It doesn't really work that way. The NHL, the NBA, to some extent, they can get away with that because there's not one defined date that Super Bowl Sunday has to be every year. The NFL already has that linked in, so they can't postpone games now and still get to the end of the playoffs in time for the end of February for the Super Bowl. So that is the big thing with the NFL, as well as having their marquee games. Now, I wouldn't be surprised we get to the first week of January and the NBA decides to postpone their action. Now, I don't know much about their Olympic situation. There's obviously more to that situation. So, that's information I don't necessarily have, but that is something that we have to kind of watch and see play out. Because normally, the NHL wouldn't be the first one to make that move. The NHL, it's actually quite surprising the NHL has shut down. Now, I think, again, because of the COVID cases, that's the bigger reason. But in terms of after this little quote-unquote Christmas break, I'm not really sure what the NHL is going to do. I think it would take a cataclysmic event for the NHL to shut things down because they're going to wait for the NFL to shut everything down. If the NFL is still going, everybody else has the excuse to keep going. And whether that's right or not, that's up to your interpretation. But at the end of the day, that is what we're probably going to see happen. Now, I think the NHL kind of got caught off guard. I mean, you look at, the NHL in the beginning of this regular season here in the fall was praising that 99.9% of their players were vaccinated, yet the NHL is taking the biggest hit right now with this COVID variant. So everything they were parading about in the summer and into the fall kind of means absolutely nothing. Now, I think there's some extent to that, but still, you look at the NBA and the NFL, the push to not get vaccinated. Again, I hate to make it come back to this, but it does come back to that at some point. So that's my kind of take on it. I've been pretty clear about that with you guys. And again, I'm sure the comments will go either way to the extreme, but that is where we're at. To see a full-on shutdown like we saw in 2020, it would take the NFL during the postseason, during one of their busy, their most important parts of the season. If they're shutting that down, that's where the rest of the leagues will follow. And the problem is, you're looking at even small examples. I listened to a podcast the other day. They were talking about the Jeff Merrick podcast, or 32 Thoughts, whatever they're called, with Elliot Friedman. They were talking about how, one game at the Bell Center for the Montreal Canadiens, that's $2 million right there. That could pay a guy's annual salary. Now, you do that night after night after night, and you're missing a dozen games. That's almost $250,000. That's $250,000. That's a lot of money in a short amount of time. And then you obviously have Toronto, another big market that probably pulls in similar numbers just in attendance per night. So if the NHL is losing that, and they still have the Arizona Coyotes and the Florida Panthers, kind of hemorrhaging money, the NHL will find themselves in a bit of a hard place. Now, the thing is, I just made a video 2 weeks ago talking about the salary cap, how in the 2025-26 NHL season, we could see a big bump again in the salary cap post the new CBA agreement, which is the collective bargaining agreement. But at this rate, that was the plan. Now we're seeing this variant take over the NHL that may have an impact not only on what we're going to see into 2022, not only into 23, it could still be affecting us in the 2025-26 NHL season. And that is a little bit scary, but I think what the NHL has done so far has been pretty good overall. But with that said, we're going to listen and see what kind of happens. I'm not shocked that the NHL made this move. But like we've said, now the NHL has the leeway. They're not going to force themselves to play games that they otherwise shouldn't, because now they have that Olympic time to figure out their own schedule. At the end of the day, the NHL is looking out for their own best interests, and there's no problem with that. Because at the end of the day, the players get paid, everybody gets paid, and everybody keeps their jobs. And we don't have like what we had in 2020. So I understand where the NHL is coming from. Yes, it sucks. We're not going to see Olympics. Steven Stamkos at this point will still not be an Olympic participant. It's been very frustrating for certain players in particular. But this is kind of where we're at right now. And obviously, I'll keep you guys updated with everything else going on. I'm sure we'll get some updates here going into the new year as to what the NHL plans on doing. Again, NHL Action is planning on coming back Monday, the 27th, December 27th, this coming Sunday, or Monday, this coming Monday. So the NHL will be back. Again, their games for tonight and tomorrow night, or for you guys, will be tonight. And then they're off the next 3 or 4 days, and then we come back on Monday. So we'll kind of get an update at that point. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much, and I will see you again later.